Hello and welcome to Ask the Expert, a daily series from 8:30 in the morning till 9 o'clock to help small businesses like you. You can ask any questions in the comments or use the hashtag QBATE on Twitter. Now, if you need any more advice, join the official Intuit QuickBooks SMB community group on Facebook. And what you'll find is accountants and business experts are available 24/7. Now, during this live session, we're going to be running a poll, so do take part in the poll, and I will be revealing the results afterwards. So, who am I? I'm Esther Stanhope, the Impact Guru. My background is broadcasting. I was at the BBC for 10 years, and I've run television stations and worked with talent for many years, but I run my own business now. Now, I run a business to help people and small businesses and leaders to speak with confidence. I help people communicate their message. So when it comes to small businesses trying to pitch and win more business, that's where I come in, because anything to do with on-camera presence, before COVID-19, it was in the boardroom presence. That's what I was helping you with. But now it's more in a virtual world. Wow, now we've all got to be amazing on camera. So I've got to say, when I speak to my clients now, I help them with all of my broadcasting tips. So as a senior producer, I know every trick in the book. So if you want to ask questions this morning about how to engage with your clients, how to engage with your team, how to engage with anyone that you need to engage with on camera, I can answer any of your questions, from people's attention span to lighting, sound, what sort of microphone should you get, how to get people to engage with you in terms of asking them questions, slides, any of that stuff. Please do get your questions in, hashtag QBATE on Twitter, and the comments, you'll see there's comments that you can comment in live as we go along. Now, what I find is when I speak to clients now, everybody is wanting to be good on Zoom, on Teams, on Blue Jeans, on GoToWebinar, and all those different platforms. And nobody, before, that wasn't the most important thing for them. What I'm finding is that before we had the lockdown, people didn't think it was very important to be brilliant on video. And when I ask people, so how important is it for you to be good on video? They'll be saying, oh, no, leave that to the video people, leave that to the comms people. Whereas now, CEOs, CFOs, COOs, and leaders, people leading their teams, managing directors, are really having to step up and learn these skills. And you can learn these skills, but a lot of people struggle with feeling the sensation of the camera on them. When you have a camera on you, you sometimes feel quite exposed, quite naked. It's quite embarrassing. And even though you're really brilliant at your job and you're really confident, the thought of putting the camera on, quite often a lot of my clients will say, no, thank you, I'll just leave my camera off. But what's happening now is that we are not going back to the usual office environment, the usual meeting environment, the coffees, going to the bar, lunches, and the networking environment. And we're doing everything via the camera. So I've worked with many pitch teams, and I've worked with global pitch teams. The beauty of pitching your ideas and pitching your business and replacing those coffees and those networking events with virtual meetings and virtual events, the beauty of it and the upside to it is that you can now, in the same room, within a couple of minutes, speak to America, Tokyo, or Liverpool, or Northern Ireland. It's incredible. You can bring people together in one room. So I've been working with pitch teams recently that just want to work out how they can best sell their business idea. And they've asked me questions like, how can we get our message across online? So where people tend to go wrong here is that they tend to try and replicate real life. So they have a pitch deck and they want to go through the slides and go through the pitch deck, and then each person takes their turn to pitch. And it's not quite the same when you are in a virtual world. So I'm going to give you some really simple tips. I'm going to start with a few simple tips before we get the questions coming in. So please do start getting your questions in now. But while we're getting your questions in, hashtag QBATE or in the comments, I'm going to give you a few tips. Now, I learned these tips from my many years of broadcasting. And by the way, just a little funny fact about me, I have interviewed a lot of celebrities because I started my career as an entertainment reporter. So I've interviewed George Clooney, Sharon Stone, Madonna, the Spice Girls, Oasis, anyone who was famous basically between 1996 to 1997, mainly in the UK, although I did do a bit of traveling. Anyone who was famous or had a film out or a record, an album out, or did concerts in that year, like the Brit Awards with the Spice Girls, remember? I interviewed everyone, Jamiroquai, Sheryl Crow, the Brit Awards, Robbie Williams. I interviewed all those people. So why is that relevant? Because when it comes to having charisma, having presence, I have watched and learnt how people can radiate charisma. And what you need to do now when you're speaking to clients and when you're in the virtual world is you are on a little square on people's screens. So the question is, how do you radiate charisma like the superstars? Is it possible? The answer is, it is. It is. You can learn these skills. You can radiate charisma. There's no reason why you can't. However, you've got to be up for it. So if you're up for it and you want to ask me questions, please, I'm all yours this morning. And we've got 20 minutes together where I can help you radiate your charisma. Now, even if you're shy, even if you don't think you're the sort of person that normally goes in front of the camera, and you don't like it, freaks you out, you'd rather just send the pitch deck, thank you very much. I have tips for you. So just a couple of tips before we start with the questions. Basic rules of thumb. You need good sound, good lighting, and good action. So lights, camera, action. Really simply, I've got probably 6 lights. Now, the behind the scenes team here today, we've been setting up this shot and setting up the sound this morning. You've got to have decent lighting. So if there's one thing you need to go and buy and invest in, some little lights. Now, I've got domestic lamps. I'm not going to move my camera because the shot might go funny. I've got domestic lights. I've got IKEA lamps. I've got LED lights that I bought from Amazon. And you can get these little tiny lights with a little stand, and you can put coloured gels. A gel is basically a coloured thing that you can put in front of a filter. You can put in front of your light. And as long as you've got light coming at you, and you've got a 45-degree angle, by the way, for your face, that's more flattering, you will look better immediately. You can look like a pro immediately. The other thing is sound. I've got a boom mic, which is basically a mic that stands on it with a little arm, and I can put it up and down because my desk goes up and down. But you can get a lapel mic, which is basically a clip-on mic. They're not very expensive. You don't have to be intimidated by pro equipment to sound half decent. So I suggest lights, camera, action, and I'm going to give you some tips on action when your questions start coming in. I suggest you start setting yourself up. We are working from home now and doing this remote format. We've got a long time. We've got more of this. So you might as well set yourself up in a small space. You don't need very much. My little studio here is 1 meter 70 centimeters square. That's less than 2 meters square. You could set yourself up in a little wardrobe if you want, something that's relatively contained without too much background noise. I suggest that would be a good thing to invest in. So let's go straight to your questions. So the questions, right, we've got Kat from Twitter. This is Kat on Twitter. I've done 2 guest appearances on live webinars. One time I sneezed, 5 times, oh no, which put me off track. Oh gosh, that's awful. I know what you might have allergies or something. Do you have any advice about what I can do if I'm ever in a situation again and maybe get a cough attack or something? Oh gosh, live broadcasting, something that I have done. I think I've clocked up one time 12,500 hours of live broadcasting as a producer. I used to produce a breakfast show. I've produced different shows across the day on radio in particular. there's always things that go wrong. I mean, at the moment, what we've got, dogs barking, my cat might come in. I have shut her out today. My kids, they're at school now, but when they weren't at school, you could hear them shouting. The main thing there is you have to just work with the environment that you're in, and things may go wrong. So the first thing in terms of your mindset and in terms of your worry is to think, it's okay. If I need to sneeze, I will say, excuse me, I'm just going to sneeze for a moment. And if you can hand over to somebody else, or quickly give a little warning, like maybe there's something they can be doing. You want to buy yourself time when things go wrong. So I do remember when I was at the BBC, when we were doing any show, actually, quite often we'd have like an emergency reel, like an emergency code red tape. So if it goes completely wrong, just play the tape, and a tape will play. But the other thing we used to do, if a guest was late or something happened, like we spilt the coffee in the studio and we needed like a minute just to sort ourselves out, or we had a coughing fit, we used to always play Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen, because it was 5 minutes and 55 seconds long. So it gave us a 6-minute window to sort out our tech issues. So all you need is a bit of time. Don't worry about it, but do have a backup plan. Maybe have a slide, maybe go to somebody else. And it actually did happen once when I was live, and I had a colleague of mine who could just take over the presenting for a minute. And that, so just have a plan B. Okay, Lola from Instagram. Hi, Esther. What are the do's and don'ts of what to wear on camera? Thank you, Lola. I love that question. Okay, briefly, a splash of color. I'm wearing red, and it's quite obvious, a red jacket, but color really works on camera. A splash of color is good enough. So if you like wearing black, have a splash of a scarf or a brooch or a statement necklace. Try to avoid all black, because it does look on camera as if you're going to a funeral, because you're painting a little picture in your little square. And when you turn up in your little square wearing black, it's the picture that you're painting is you're wearing black. If you wear white, sometimes it can kind of fade. The camera doesn't really like all white because of there's a thing called white balance. So white isn't too good, and also it kind of drinks all the light. So it starts like your face will go dark. So I would suggest avoid all black and all white, and add a splash of color. And don't wear anything like small stripes or small dots or a little pattern, because it will fizz. It will kind of like shimmer on camera, depending on what sort of camera you're using. There you go, and enjoy shopping. Alice on Twitter. I've just launched my own company and need to start pitching it to other businesses. What can I do myself at home to practice my skills? I've never done anything like this before. Alice, you've got your own company, you need to start pitching to other businesses. Set up virtual coffees on Zoom or whatever platform with video conferencing. Set up these virtual coffees and try and have conversations with your camera on, looking good, sounding good, put a bit of makeup on, get yourself in a good mood, and try and keep these meetings relatively short, but try and create that virtual coffee shop feel. Absolutely, it's conversations and calls and virtual coffees for you. Okay, excellent. Now we've got, how would you recommend I start this is from Corbin on Instagram. So keep your questions coming in, hashtag QBATE. And in the comments, you can write in the comments, keep the questions coming in. Corbin from Instagram. How would you recommend I start a business pitch to engage the audience from the beginning? Okay, so I've been working with quite a few different pitch teams from around the world. And I've seen all kinds of different pitches. So I've seen the people that say, everything's scripted. So they come to the pitch and they've been invited. It's a formal pitch, because I think formal pitches are very particular. You do have to kind of stick to a format that your client has asked you, or if you're in a beauty parade, i.e. you're pitching amongst other people, they kind of expect you to start with, you, the team, the proposition, and it's quite a structured deck that they've already got the deck probably, and you've followed the structure. So I've seen people kind of be very traditional, and so they turn up to this pitch, which is quite a formal appointment, and then they don't really do much chit chat at the beginning because they're just waiting for people to tune in. And so they kind of say, okay, we're just waiting for our team to tune in. You know, nice to meet you. Great. Good to see you. Okay, we're just tuning in. We'll start in a couple of minutes. We're just tuning in now. And it's kind of waiting for people to tune in, like a waiting room scenario, but they don't actually start. And then in my experience, I've seen lots of different starts. So one guy started his pitch like, hi, it's great to be here. Like, so he'd already waited a couple of minutes for people to tune in. And then he kind of said, hi, thank you for having us. It's really a pleasure for us to be pitching here today. And then he started asking questions. So how are you? How are you finding the new climate? Or how is post-COVID for you? Or he started that kind of conversation as part of his pitch script. I would suggest that you don't do that. I think there's a soft start and a hard start. So in a nutshell, the soft start is, hi, thanks for having us. It's really great to be here. Oh, where are you now? Oh, you're in, Paris, or you're in Birmingham, or whatever. Or we're in London, or we're in Epping, or whatever, in Essex. Or, just have a chit chat about, where you're tuning in from while you're waiting for your team. How are you finding working from home? I would have those soft conversations. Small talk's really important. It's not a waste of time. It doesn't mean that it hasn't got content in it just because you're chatting about your environment that morning. Small talk is really important before you start a pitch to relax everybody. Because what happens when you're on Zoom and you might have 8 people or 4 people, or on Teams or whatever your platform is? People are sitting there, you're sitting there, and you're feeling, it's a bit embarrassing, isn't it? It's kind of, you've got to break the ice. So to break the ice, it's really good to chat about something really easy. It's an icebreaker. Oh, so-and-so is joining us in a moment. She's going to be tuning in from Scotland or whatever. So definitely start with a bit of small talk. Then after a couple of minutes, I think that's the time when you're going to start. Okay, so should we start then? Is everyone ready? Right. Thank you so much. And then there's a kind of a hard start. And then I think for that hard start, thank you so much for letting us share our business with you, or share whatever your offering is, share the with you today. We're really excited to be presenting our brand new diddly-diddly-diddly-dee. So immediately just give them, I think you need to start with something really, an opener, which is kind of, it does what it says on the tin. I don't think start with, let me tell you about me, and don't start with small talk as part of the set piece, if you know what I mean. There's soft start, small talk, water cooler moment, and then a punchy, are we ready to begin? Great. We are really excited to share, and then go into it. So I hope that's clear for you, Corbin, and I hope that helps you, because I've seen people being a bit embarrassing at the beginning of their pitches. Bethan from Facebook Messenger. I wouldn't say I don't particularly like speaking in front of people when it comes to working scenarios, but out and about, I'm an expert at mingling. But if I, for example, have to pitch or present something at work, I get so nervous, and I'm afraid I come across as I'm not confident. Do you have any tips? Okay, so Bethan, it sounds to me like mingling, you're an extrovert. You like people. Great. When it comes to set piece, formatted, a bit formal, don't really like it. Come across as unconfident. So Bethan, for you, it's really important. And for the extroverts of you, I'm an extrovert. I used to be terrible at public speaking and terrible in front of the camera, by the way. If you're an extrovert, you need to create the format so it's more conversational. So Bethan, right now, I'm here on my own with a camera on me. A few years ago, I would never be able to stand here and talk to you as if you're a normal human being, because I would kind of be a bit robotic. Like, have to be formal. I have to give you an exact answer that answers I have to be professional. I have to have a script. You don't have to have a script. If I were you, I'd make it more Q&A, more of a Q&A format. And if it's you broadcasting as opposed to chatting with somebody, like, so at the moment I'm kind of broadcasting to you. We're not chatting, are we? Because you're not talking to me. However, I've got my little chat box here. So I feel as if I am chatting with you because you're chatting through the Facebook Messenger. By the way, hashtag QBATE. If you want to put your message on Twitter, you want to ask a question, please keep them coming. So what I've done, this format today, thank you, Intuit QuickBooks, the format today is a kind of chatty format. What you can do if you've got to present and you've got to pitch is that you can actually make up those questions as part of your pitch. So if they say we want you to pitch kind of formally for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, I think online, to be honest with you, 6 minutes is a lot. So if you have been asked to pitch for 10 minutes, keep it a bit shorter. If you've been asked to kind of broadcast first and then there's questions after, the best thing to do is have a series of questions that you're answering. So you want to know about our new product. Great. La 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 la. And then you can talk about it. So you're probably thinking, how could I possibly afford that? Aha. What our clients say to us is da 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 da. So have a Q&A with yourself. And that's a much more conversational human format. What you don't want to do when you're pitching is you don't want to be too scripted. You want it to be natural and you want to be able to tell a story. So think of a few stories that would illustrate your business and share some of those. Now, Bethan, as I said before, I was a nervous speaker. I was so nervous at speaking, I avoided speaking in front of an audience. So I'm going to run a competition here because I wrote a book called Goodbye Glossophobia, and I'm going to run a quick flash competition so you can win my book. It's called Goodbye Glossophobia, which means fear of public speaking. Banish your fear of public speaking. Now, this book is full of tips and tricks about being in the spotlight, people looking at you. What if I fluff my lines? What if I forget how to tell a story? What do I wear? What if my wardrobe malfunctions? But the thing about this book, it is about public speaking. However, all the tips are 100% relevant for public speaking in a virtual world, i.e. like this. The spotlight's on me, the camera's on me. It might as well be an auditorium because you've got the same sensation of looking, eyes, judgment. That little lens could be judging me because that represents lots of people. So if you want to win this book, all you've got to do is very, very simple. It's just a quick flash competition and you can win it. If you're not watching live, if you're watching a recording, I always pick out a winner every Friday from people that engage with me. All you've got to do is write more tips in the subject box of an email. And all you've got to do is email me, esther@estherstanhope.com. Now, I don't know if you can read my writing, but Esther is spelled ESTHER, esther@estherstanhope.com. I think my name's all over this broadcast anyway, so it's just my name, esther@estherstanhope.com. I will be picking a live winner in the next 20 minutes, and I will be picking a recorded winner on Friday. I put you in my virtual hat, and every Friday I pick out a new winner. So anybody that engages with me or emails me throughout the week, they could go into the virtual hat. So if you're watching this recording in November or in 2021, you could still be in the virtual hat. So please do email me. And also esther@estherstanhope.com if you want to engage with me and ask me any personal questions about your pitching and about your confidence. I would love to help. So that's how you could win the book. And I will send that to you immediately. If you try and win this book this morning, if you email me this morning, it'll be in the post today. So you'll get it tomorrow. And by the way, it won the highly commended Short Business Book of the Year. It did. I'm an award winner. So let's get on to some of these questions. Carrie from Twitter. Hi Esther, I'm not a big fan of the new Zoom world. Oh dear. I feel like my personality doesn't shine through. Do you have any advice? So you feel like your personality doesn't shine through? Yes, Carrie. A camera and the Zoom world it represents the real world. Does your personality shine through? It can. What I would suggest you do is actually get on Zoom more. Get on digital broadcasting platforms and video conferencing calls more, and start sharing your knowledge, start sharing your stories, and smile. I cannot express to you enough how important chatting to the lens, and look at the lens, by the way, not the screen, the lens, chatting to the lens and smiling and enjoying the conversation. Just by smiling, your personality would already be 50% more, right? Okay, so the poll result, I think the poll results are in now. So we asked you in the poll, if you've been watching live, we've asked you in the poll, how confident do you feel pitching your business remotely? How confident do you feel pitching your business remotely? 50% answered not confident at all. Help! So that's good, because I can give you a couple of tips before we finish. 50% said, okay, but I need more advice. And nobody said, I've nailed it. That's good. So you should definitely try and win my book then, because I can help you. I mean, that is really interesting. So people need help. I think we are getting much better at the Zoom world. We are getting better at confident, being more confident in a virtual world. All I can say to you is practice. Get in front of that camera, look at that lens, learn to love it, because that's a skill. Just looking at the lens and smiling and telling a story and being confident enough to stand in front of the spotlight you're already halfway there. You need to do it almost on a daily basis. So please keep yourselves active in front of that camera. It then becomes normal, and then it doesn't freak you out anymore. So eyes and teeth to the camera. That's my biggest tip. Now, if you have any questions, please do get in touch with the QuickBooks support team. Or if you want to get in touch with me, you can direct message me on LinkedIn, or you can email me at the email address I gave you earlier. Now, coming up on Ask the Expert tomorrow, everything you want to know about the current landscape, the latest announcements from the government, and how you can prepare your business. And your special guest tomorrow is Ironia, the Managing Director of Majors Accounts. She knows everything there is to know about accounting and keeping your cash flow going. And then now there's a reminder that if you need any more advice, you can join the official Intuit QuickBooks SMB community group on Facebook. Remember, accountants and business experts are on hand 24/7. Now, I've really, really enjoyed answering your questions this morning. Thank you so much for engaging. Thank you for doing the poll. Have a lovely day. Thank you.